Hi, I'm Michael Beardsley, and welcome to another episode of An Actor Reacts. For those of you who might be joining me for the first time, in this video I will be watching a television show or a movie, and I will react to the scenes that involve acting, or filmmaking, or frankly anything else I want to react to because, hey, it's my video. There will be spoilers ahead, so warning on that. And today we will be watching an episode of The episode we will be watching today is called Radioactive Man. It is the second episode of the 7th season. I have actually seen this episode before, but I thought it would be a great one to watch and comment on, so let's get started.
So where can we shoot this picture? We need a city that has a nuclear reactor and a gorge and can guarantee us the full cooperation of city officials.
I'll check Variety.
Wow! Look at that ad!
Variety is a trade paper. At the time it was a daily trade paper. Obviously now it's gone mostly digital. It is actually the only trade paper that still does have a print edition. I actually have an old copy, as you can see here. There are full-page ads, just like there are in the show, though none of these are about locations to film. It's mostly about Jay Leno getting a star on the Walk of Fame. And here we have the smaller ad buys, just like in the show. You'll notice the logo on the one that they're looking at is red. That means it's weekly variety, whereas mine was daily variety, so it's green. It's also a real thing that productions will look for places that are cheaper to shoot. Georgia was huge for a while. Georgia is still huge, but it's not like it's a secret anymore. Tyler Perry even has a studio there. He built the studio. It just changes based on tax breaks for film productions and that sort of thing.
All right, we have $30 million to spend.
We'll blow up our dams, destroy forests, anything.
$30 million for a superhero movie at that time is actually not that out of the question. It's a little low. The budget for Batman was $35 million. Batman Returns was $80 million, but that was a sequel, so they were confident it would make its money back. The Shadow was $40 million. The Phantom was $45 million. That one didn't do so well. And back then, the MCU did not exist. You also got to remember they're hiring Rainier Wolfcastle, who's an analog for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was making $25 million per movie at this time.
If there's a species of animal that's causing you problems, nosing around your camera, we'll have it wiped out.
Look, we just want to make movies, not kill things.
If you film in a small town, a lot of times you can get a lot more for your money, because films have never shot there or rarely shoot there. So they're more willing to help and give extra services. Whereas in Los Angeles, everyone wants to charge for everything because so many movies film there. Los Angeles is not the best place to film your independent movie. Unfortunately, a lot of us live here, and if you have to travel somewhere else, then that kind of negates the savings. An audition like this would be called an open call, in which anyone can come in and read for a role. They would never do that in just one city for a major role like this. Open calls of any sort are not common, but they have happened.
Mom, don't make me do this.
Stage moms, sometimes they make it all about themselves, living vicariously through their child, and the child is not even interested in acting. Sometimes they're great. I never experienced this personally, as I was never a child actor, but I have seen it from afar.
At last the world is safe. Hey, Fallout Boy.
Watch out!
Next!
At last the world is safe. Hey, Fallout Boy.
Watch out, Radioactive Man!
So what Lunch Lady Doris is doing here, she is what is called a reader, which is someone who's in the room that just reads the lines so like the casting people and the director can just focus and not be reading opposite the actor. It's an interesting story about someone who once served as a reader and it led to something more. Harrison Ford, he was installing a door at Francis Ford Coppola's Zoetrope Studios where they were auditioning for a new movie called Star Wars. They'd worked with him as an actor on American Graffiti, so they asked if he'd come in and be a reader. So he read opposite other actors for other roles, and of course in the end they cast him as Han Solo.
Brilliant reading again.
Watch out, Radioactive Man!
Fantastic! One more time.
Watch out, Radioactive Man!
Often they would have you do a scene more than once, although in this case they're auditioning for a lead role and they're having him do one single line. I don't think that's very likely. And usually if they want you to do it more than once, they will redirect you. They'll say like, okay, now do it A little less, something like that.
Congratulations, Bart Simpson. You're our new Fallout Boy. That's what I'd be saying to you if you weren't an inch too short. Next.
Obviously, they wouldn't tell you you didn't get the audition in that way, or really in any way. Sometimes you get the vibe, but they're not going to tell you. They're also not going to tell you if you got the role. You might find out even later that day, or you might find out weeks later, but you're not going to find out on the spot. And another thing, you can lose a role for anything. Being an inch too short, it's possible. I mean, that's not a lot of height, but there's breakdowns all the time that on only 6 foot or higher people. You could lose it because they don't like the shape of your nose, just anything. You can also get the role for one of those reasons. It's what they want.
Guess what, kids? They're gonna pay us $50 a day to film some of the movie here.
We'll run that cable through here.
Careful now.
Now, this is a real thing. They really do pay people to use their houses in movies. Although, they're not going to trash your house like this. And if they do, they have to pay for it. There's insurance involved. I worked in several actual residences that have been rented out. In fact, there are websites that people put their houses on. And there are some houses that I've actually done films in that's a huge part of their income. I did a pilot called Surreal Estates, and we filmed at this house which has all sorts of weird, creepy stuff in it. And then I did Jekyll and Hyde in another house which is constantly used. Has a lot of character, shall we say, as does the owner.
You've got to give me the part of Crispy the Clown.
I'm sorry, you're wrong for the part.
It's never a good idea just to run into a production office or a casting office and say, you have to give me the role. They probably won't give you the role and will never want to see you again.
But look at my range.
Krusty here, he has this weird 4-picture thing. Usually you just have one picture. You don't need shots of you with like a stethoscope or you with a sailor hat. That just screams amateur. That being said, I have absolutely seen actors who have headshots like that.
Well, I'm sorry, Crispy the Clown has been cast, but I will hire you for Angry the Clown, Silly Sailor, and Dr. Clownius.
They do hire actors locally. They call them local hires. And that would be like the smaller roles that they don't want to fly people in for. They just want to hire them and pay them a day rate and be done with them. Okay, now we're on the set. There's some gaffers. Those are the lighting guys. The wardrobe trailer. There's always one of those on set. Okay, it looks like Rainier Wolf Castle has an acting coach on set. That does happen. Looks like he needs one.
Up and at them!
Millhouse! Hey, you're not Millhouse.
No, I'm just Millhouse when he gets hurt. Oh.
Okay, let's get the real Millhouse over here under the X-ray truck.
Stuntmen have to look somewhat like the actor, especially in build and physique, but they don't have to look exactly like them. Here's a few examples. Chandler Riggs on The Walking Dead, his stunt double is actually a 29-year-old woman. Sometimes people who are not directly involved in the production can see a scene happening and think it's like something really dangerous and kind of freak out. Many years ago, I worked on a movie called Spiders. And at one point, the spider is rampaging through a parking lot and all the cars are trying to get away from it and they're freaking out and they're running into each other. There's people running across the street almost getting hit. I was just an extra in the film, and there was these 2 other extras who were standing there, and they were like getting so upset because they saw these stunt performers and they thought that these people were in great peril. And they're like, we need to call the cops. And the punchline is, from where I was standing, there was a cop like 10 feet from them. Because when you're shooting stuff with traffic on government property, which it was on a college campus, you have to have a police presence there. That's just how it has to be done.
I think I'm lying on a broken bottle.
Beautiful, use it. Okay.
They didn't start the cameras. They said cut at the end of the last scene. They didn't start the cameras. He just says action. He didn't start the cameras. The cameras didn't acknowledge that they're rolling. The sound didn't say they're rolling. So they're not filming. They're not filming.
Cut!
Again, they said cut, but they didn't start the cameras. You can't cut the camera if you don't start rolling it.
That was perfect. Let's do it again.
Perfect, let's do it again. That certainly happens. Very often they want to get at least 2 good takes just in case something's wrong that they didn't see with one.
Sir, why don't you just use real cows?
Cows don't look like cows on film. You gotta use horse.
That's not
What do
true.
you do if you want something that looks like a horse?
Usually we just tape a bunch of cats together.
Now that is absolutely true.
Making movies is so horribly repetitive. I've said Jiminy Jilliker so many times the words have lost all meaning.
We've got to do the Jiminy Jillikers scene again, Milhouse.
But we already did it. It took 7 hours, but we did it. It's done.
Yes, but we've got to do it from different angles. Again and again. And again and again and again.
Now this is 100% true. And most people who watch movies and television shows just don't realize that they do. A scene could take hours. I mean, in a big budget movie, a scene could take days.
This is the hardest, most expensive scene in the movie, and we only get one shot at it, so we have to do it right. Fallout Boy will untie Radioactive Man moments before he's hit with a 40-foot wall of sulfuric acid. Now, that's real acid, so I want to see
OSHA would have a
goggles,
big
people.
issue with that.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
That one shot cost us $1 million.
There are scenes in films that you really do have to get right the first time. Or, I guess if you don't, it just costs a lot of money. When they were shooting Saving Private Ryan, something like this actually did happen. The main characters were in the foreground with the whole D-Day invasion going on in the background, and one of them screwed up, so they had to back up all the extras and all the explosion effects and everything. So yeah, it cost them a lot of money.
Thanks to modern editing techniques, we can use existing footage to complete the film without Milhouse.
Looks like we're in trouble, Fallout Boy.
Jiminy Jilliker's Radioactive Man.
We'll have to fight our way out. Are you ready?
Yes.
Seamless, huh?
You're fired.
I haven't mentioned this in these videos before, but I am also an editor, so... Movies have been finished even if the main actor is no longer available or dead. Such was the case with The Crow, on which Brandon Lee died before they finished. All the footage you're seeing now was done after he died, and yet he seems to be in it. They added him in using a combination of body doubles and digitally adding his face on. So it can be done. This guy should absolutely be fired.
It's a sham, Bart. You get up on that movie screen pretending to be a hero, but you're not. The real heroes are out there, toiling day and night on more important things.
Get off your soapbox, Milhouse. Actors aren't claiming to be curing cancer.
Mickey Rooney!
Hi, Milhouse.
Oh look, it's Mickey Rooney. I actually acted in the last movie he did before he passed away.
I just turn him for a price.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him.
Come on, Milhouse, you have to do this. If not for yourself, then for the movie-going public and for the foreign markets that are more important than ever nowadays. And
he's not wrong about that.
Finally,
foreign markets are very important.
The Mixter.
No.
We know you don't have any more money left, but that doesn't matter.
Thank God we're back in Hollywood, where people treat each other right.
Obviously, the joke here is what they're saying is the exact opposite. Hollywood is the place that wants to take all your money. This picture is totally inaccurate. The Brown Derby was not anywhere near Hollywood and Vine. The Chinese Theater is way further down Hollywood Boulevard. This is what Hollywood and Vine actually looks like. So the Capitol Records building was the one thing they got pretty much right. They tried to smash all these Hollywood landmarks into that one intersection. So here's a map. You can see where these landmarks actually are. This is the Hollywood and Vine intersection, and the Capitol Records building is just north of it. The Chinese Theater is quite a bit west on Hollywood Boulevard. And the Brown Derby was several blocks south. Notice I said was, because the building depicted in this episode was actually demolished in 1980. The Hollywood sign is to the north, but it's just way too far for me to show you on a map. So that was the Simpsons episode Radioactive Man. There were some good things, there were some bad things. Let's recap. On the good side, productions do shoot in small towns. Open calls do exist, though they're rare. Productions do hire local people, and people do get paid to use their homes. On the bad side, very unrealistic depiction of a film set. They have to start the cameras where there's no film. Many of the crew are idiots. For a big budget movie, you're going to have a good effects guy, you're going to have a good editor, and frankly, your crew would be a lot bigger. And the depiction of Hollywood. Obviously, this was intentional. And on one final note, we would like to congratulate Jay Leno on his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame back in 2000. So that just about does it for this week. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to comment, I'll try to respond. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Be sure to watch my other Actor Reacts videos. And for that matter, my other videos too. Why not? So, until next time.